OK, well, welcome along to Alan Carr's Easy Way London. My name's Colleen. I'm going to be your therapist for today. That actually you can find it easy to quit smoking. Instantly, permanently, without having to use any aids or gimmicks, without putting on weight, without using willpower. You can actually enjoy the whole process of quitting smoking and then never have the slightest desire to smoke again. Our approach today is going to be focused on removing your fears of being a non-smoker. And to do that, we're just going to look smoking squarely in the face and identify what it is that makes you believe that you would need to spend the rest of your one and only life shoving those filthy, disgusting objects into your mouth and setting light to them. OK, so I'm going to ask you all now to discard your old cigarettes and lighters onto the pile.
Combien de cigarettes fumez-vous par jour?
4-5.
3-4 par jour seulement.
Entre 25 et 40.
À peu près dans les 40. 3 paquets environ.
Moi, 4 paquets par jour.
C'est-à-dire en moyenne, 2 paquets par jour.
Do you remember how, not so very long ago, lighting a cigarette was a perfectly normal act, accepted by society at large? Today, it's not just recommended that you quit smoking, it's more like a command. Restrictions have sprung up everywhere in our daily lives. The omnipresent no smoking signs, a constant reminder.
Smoking is not allowed.
We're also assailed by pictures of the dead and dying and slogans reinforcing our feeling of guilt.
Ich glaube, als schließlich irgendwo las, dass man vom Rauchen auch blind und taub wird, habe ich gedacht, jetzt ist wirklich ein Punkt erreicht, wo es überhaupt keinen Sinn mehr macht.
Terror, disgust, the promise of a slow and painful death. There are no holds barred when it comes to reminding the smoker of his or her sad and pathetic condition.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
People have known since the 19th century that nicotine in a very small quantity kills very large rats. Doctors have always known about the difference between the health of their patients who smoked and that of the patients who didn't. In America, cigarettes have long been known as coffin nails.
Smoking kills. There's no doubt about that. We've known it for a long time. So why has this danger suddenly become less acceptable, less tolerable than it used to be?
Gave up for 2.5 years. Yeah. Started to smoke again in France at a health spa. On end weekend.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You smoked for a long time?
8-9 years. I quit kind of, for 10 months using the book, actually.
Right.
And yeah, then, I read the women book and the normal book.
Did you?
The what book?
I read the book.
Every single day, there are more than 1 billion people in the world who are lighting up cigarettes. They must be deriving some benefit, some pleasure, some social utility from this habit. It's not just because they are addicted.
The concepts of dependence and addiction are very much features of our modern world. Not so long ago, tobacco was a pleasure for the people, a social lubricant accessible to one and all. Firmly anchored in our history and culture, smoking had become as natural as eating and drinking. The pack of cigarettes, which first appeared in the early 20th century, made tobacco a readily accessible consumer product, easy to offer, pass round and share.
L'amusante manifestation qui célèbre les charmes du tabac commence par le concours de la plus gracieuse et souriante fumeuse. Concours de vitesse.
La cigarette, c'est vraiment un mode de sociabilité. C'est quelque chose qui s'offre, exactement comme la prise d'ailleurs pouvait s'offrir quand vous offriez la tabatière, vous voyez. C'est quelque chose qui s'offre, c'est quelque chose qui permet la discussion, c'est quelque chose qui permet d'engager la discussion.
I remember when I first used to go to France in the 1950s, you would go into someone's home and immediately they would take a pack of blondes and a pack of Gauloises and throw them in the middle of the coffee table, and people were invited to smoke. Even now, you know, there's a democratic character of smoking. A prince can offer a beggar a light. Cigarettes, ever since the American Indians, have been elements of some kind of social cohesion.
Now a lot more expensive, cigarettes don't get offered round so much anymore. Everyone lights their own, and the pack stays in the pocket. It's no longer a convivial pastime, so if you want to make friends, you're better off going in for some group therapy.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. My name is Alex Nweji, and I'm the coordinating manager for the smoking session program. So the work that all of you do here, and then the work that all of us are going to do in the future, are all going to contribute to the effectiveness of good health for mankind. Good. We all know that the better the society, the better for all of us. Okay.
I'm Betty Washington. I've been smoking since I was 27. I'm now 59. But now this is my real first attempt. I've stopped smoking. I haven't had a cigarette in 46 days.
Excellent.
I weigh a pack.
I've been smoking since I was 15. I'm 56 now. I just have trouble stopping. I tried the gum patch. I just have trouble stopping. It gives me something to do. I don't know what to say.
My name is Patricia, and I'm pretty sure I will keep on the same track, especially since I have a little more help. Thank you.
Il est déjà mort.
Laissez pas parler les morts.
Before dividing the world into smokers and non-smokers, tobacco used to bring people together. For the very good reason that everyone smoked. With a cigarette in your hand, you were ready to take on board all kinds of ideas. The debate could go on indefinitely.
Les lycéens, c'est normal, ils avalent n'importe quoi.
Ah non, pas moi.
Ce que je voulais dire, c'est la façon dont est intervenu le monsieur qui lève la main, l'éditeur. On peut avoir l'impression que les jeunes, finalement, sont...
You'd light up at any time of the day, wherever you might be, at home, on public transport, at work, in the restaurant. Men, women, old and young, the cigarette helped them forget all their differences of opinion.
Das, denke ich, waren natürlich auch die Jahre des Wiederaufbaus, auch einer Gesellschaft, die wieder zu sich kommt, die wieder auch in ihre bürgerliche Ordnung zurückkehrt, wo auch dann zunehmend die Frauen auch in die Emanzipation hineinkamen. Auch das sicherlich ein Ausdruck auch einer politischen Liberalisierung.
So as not to spoil everyone's fun, in the 1960s, the first studies to provide conclusive evidence of the very real danger of tobacco were carefully stored away in the scientists' desks. Medical endorsement in advertising was considered to be in perfectly good taste.
What cigarette do you smoke, Doctor? More doctors smoke Camels than any other cigarette.
The American TV series Mad Men, set in the world of New York advertising agencies, recalls that era when the public's lack of concern was a good match for the cynicism shown by the tobacco companies.
Our product is fine. I smoke them myself.
My granddad smoked them. He died at 95 years old. He was hit by a truck.
I understand. But our hands are tied. We're no longer allowed to advertise that Lucky Strikes are safe.
So what the hell are we gonna do? We've already funded our own tobacco research center to put this whole rumor to rest.
And that's a very good start. But it may not affect sales. Don, I think maybe that's your cue.
I
explained at the beginning of the show when it went on the air that people used to measure the amount they smoked in cartons of cigarettes per week. You go to the supermarket and you'd buy milk, eggs, and 2 cartons of cigarettes because especially men were smoking 2 or 3 packs of cigarettes a day. That's 60 to 80 sometimes cigarettes a day. I definitely felt that part of this would be a kind of Disneyland for the audience. There are even young people who said, I didn't know you could smoke inside, you know? And I'm like, you could smoke inside. We used to ride on airplanes, and this is, you know, very recently that you had to leave the building, you know? So there's a cultural desire to forget it, and that's, people were shocked by seeing that much of it, I have to say. I think people do get a thrill, and people, you know, may do some drinking and smoking while they're watching the show and then stop, you know.
In offices and factories, the cigarette wasn't yet considered an unproductive interruption. On the contrary, it was the sign of boundless activity. From morning till night, it accompanied workers in all their tasks.
La cigarette, on a le sentiment que ça excite. Vous avez beaucoup d'intellectuels qui fument en travaillant parce qu'ils ont le sentiment que ça leur donne de la stimulation, ça donne de l'ampleur à leur propre imaginaire, ça les fait à la fois respirer et penser autrement.
Elle y tient beaucoup. Romain Gary, alors, au-delà de cette limite, votre ticket n'est plus valable, roman publié chez Gallimard. Je vais distinguer 2 aspects dans votre roman, si vous voulez bien. Il y a un aspect réaliste.
Every virtue was attributed to the cigarette. It freed one's thinking and made one more eloquent. In those wreaths of smoke, ideas seemed to flow more easily.
Si je ne bande pas, c'est parce que je me suis drogué. Oh, mais mon cher, alors là, vous savez, si vous êtes capable de faire la manche de 5 fois, bravo.
Mais en combien de temps?
Remarquez. Oui.
Romain Gary, alors.
Le tabac a accompagné l'acte de création des écrivains pendant très très longtemps. Et d'ailleurs, je suis persuadé que ça aide beaucoup d'écrivains de fumer. Par exemple, Françoise Sagan n'a jamais écrit un roman sans fumer cigarette sur cigarette. Et d'ailleurs, quand elle venait à Apostrophe, Françoise Sagan, elle fumait sans arrêt, sans arrêt, sans arrêt. Et pour elle, la cigarette était à Françoise Sagan ce que la canne blanche est à l'aveugle. Ça leur était nécessaire. Ils étaient au fond, ils se retrouvaient dans une ambiance de café, ils se retrouvaient dans une ambiance de salon chez eux ou chez un copain.
Et quand même, j'ai l'impression de suivre la progression de l'histoire, la passion, la souffrance, et à la fin, le détachement.
Ah oui, évidemment, il y a des petits coups de pouce à l'alphabet, quelquefois.
J'ai remarqué.
Quand j'ai commencé à Apostrophe en 1975, la plupart des hommes portaient la cravate et fumaient. Et puis, quand j'ai arrêté Bouillon de culture, les hommes ne portaient plus de cravate et ils ne fumaient plus. Vous pouvez suivre d'ailleurs le déroulement des émissions, voire une par chaque année, et vous verrez décroître le nombre de cravates et le nombre de cigarettes, et puis à la fin, jusqu'à épuisement.
No statistical study has established a correlation between tie wearing and smoking. But in those heady days of full employment, both neckties and cigarettes gave the impression of a society confident about its own values and prosperity. Smoking was all part of good protocol. There was a certain elegance inherent in the handling of a cigarette.
Cigarette smoking is also an aesthetic activity. There's an extraordinary amount of beauty associated with manipulating fire and cinder and smoke. And people respond intrinsically to that kind of pleasure.
Well, how long is it?
How long is what?
You know what? How long is it since we've seen each other?
Oh, well, let's see.
This aesthetic dimension of smoking was magnified by the Hollywood myth. Even unlit, the cigarette was an accessory in its own right, as important as costumes and the lighting.
Also ich glaube, heute hat tatsächlich ein neues Image, hat jetzt Eingang gefunden, was im Grunde heißt, Rauchen ist uncool. Das ist eigentlich nicht mehr Zeitgeist. Zeitgeist mit Zigarette, das war Humphrey Bogart, das war vielleicht Film Noir, das waren Jean-Paul Belmondo, das waren die Zeiten. Heute leben wir in einer klügeren, in einer besseren Zeit, in einer gesünderen Zeit. Heute verknüpfen wir das nicht mehr miteinander. Ob das bewusst oder absichtsvoll gemacht wird, ob es in der Tat auch vielleicht bessere Helden hervorbringt, ich habe darüber eigentlich kein endgültiges Urteil.
Smoking is now the privilege of a few diehards, a naughty few who remain true to their own legends. It's one way of maintaining a rebellious image. Because the norm now among the stars is to be a non-smoker and to present an image of sparkling good health. All the attention nowadays is focused on the body, on physique.
Just be silly. Okay, well, this is, throw this away. So, I took pictures of you guys earlier to show you some age progression stuff. So this is what you may look like if you continue to smoke at the age of 72. So I'm going to do Heather first, because Heather's here on my screen. So, turn it around. So that's you now, and that's you at the age of 72 if you continue to smoke. If you look around the eyes, there's a lot more wrinkles there.
And here.
Yeah.
Loads and loads and loads more here.
Yeah, loads more.
And very much more
here, around the eyes, around the forehead.
Around the mouth.
Yeah.
Bottom mouth.
But also, don't know if you can see, well, you can't probably see, but you do look more greyer.
Yeah.
You have a lot more grey complexion compared
That's
to
what I
the
thought when I first saw it. I thought it looks much greyer.
And that's because the reduced circulation of blood from all the carbon monoxide that you're breathing in every time you smoke. The loose skin's caused by the lack of collagen that makes your skin elasticated, and the lack of vitamin A.
Makes me look like my mum.
Did your mum look like that?
My mum did look like that, yeah. But my mum never smoked a cigarette in her life. Weird.
Je crois que ce qui a beaucoup changé dans les périodes récentes, c'est le sentiment que les individus ont que leur corps, c'est vraiment leur capital, voyez, et que leur corps les représente, et que leur corps, c'est vraiment leur image au sens où elle traduit au plus profond leur identité. Leur identité, c'est moins comme auparavant le fait d'avoir le costume de sa classe sociale ou le fait d'avoir les indices de son métier, etc. L'identité, c'est le fait de traverser à partir de son corps l'expression qui traduit vraiment la personne au sens le plus singulier du terme.
Your body is what represents you to the world. Even at the highest echelons of power, you can't hide a thing. You must take good care of it and show it in its best light, whatever the circumstances.
Das Bedürfnis der Menschen nach einer gewissen Sicherheit im Leben und auch das Gefühl, ein gesundes Leben zu fühlen, hat man benutzt, um einfach mehr und mehr auch das Thema der Gesundheit in die Köpfe der Menschen hineinzutragen. Und damit natürlich einhergehen Fragen auch wie Sport, wie ernähre ich mich, schlafe ich genug, esse ich zu viel Zucker, esse ich zu viel Salz, was trinke ich genug, trinke ich zu viel. Also heutzutage kann man keine Zeitung mehr aufschlagen, ohne dass man Ratgeber dafür bekommt. Ein Glas Rotwein am Tag oder ist Kaffee gut oder ist Kaffee schlecht. Schlafe ich auf dem richtigen Kissen? Habe ich genügend frische Luft? Der moderne Mensch ist mittlerweile so fixiert auf diese alltäglichen, allen feinen Fragen, dass er nahezu vergisst zu leben.
Bienvenue sur Tabac Info Service. Ce service d'information et d'aide à l'arrêt du tabac sera facturé 15 centimes d'euros la minute.
Tabac Info Service, Laurent, bonjour.
Bonjour, je vous appelle parce que
je voulais vous dire que j'étais hypocondriaque, donc c'est pour ça que je veux arrêter.
Oui.
Parce que je me pose beaucoup de questions sur les maladies, tout ça.
D'accord.
Et en même temps, c'est contradictoire parce que quand j'ai peur, je prends une cigarette.
D'accord. Est-ce que vous avez indiqué à votre psychiatre que vous preniez que vous alliez arrêter de fumer?
Oui, mais lui, il veut parce qu'il dit que je suis pleine de contradictions, je veux arrêter, mais dès que j'ai peur, je prends une cigarette. Donc c'est un cercle infernal parce que je suis vraiment inquiète.
Alors dans ces cas-là,
To be a smoker today means living with fear. The origins of this fear go back to the mid-1970s. It sprang up along with recession and unemployment in a society losing its certainties. These were the years during which the dangers of smoking, as demonstrated by science, were revealed to the public at large.
Le risque global est une diminution d'espérance de vie d'environ 7 ans pour le grand fumeur.
In 1976, a new French law launched the first salvo against tobacco by restricting advertising. To try and change smokers' mentalities, a new weapon was deployed: prevention, a friend with only your best interests at heart.
Ce qui a changé en 40 ans, c'est qu'une pratique qui paraissait à la fois normale et qui paraissait comme une pratique d'affirmation, comme une pratique de valorisation en quelque sorte de la personne, d'affirmation de l'autonomie, d'affirmation de l'initiative. Cette pratique-là est devenue une pratique transgressive. C'est-à-dire que c'est devenu une pratique inquiétante, c'est devenu une pratique dangereuse.
In the space of a couple of decades, a wave of interdictions swept across the world. In the early 1990s, new legislation like France's Evin law banned smoking on public transport, in public buildings and in shops. Gradually, even the most reticent places like Spain, Quebec and China resigned themselves to enforcing new legislation. In some American states, smoking was even banned in establishments where it had traditionally always been tolerated, such as psychiatric hospitals, prisons, and, irony of ironies, death row.
My name is Lionel Ferguson, and I've been smoking for about 40 years. And I'm glad now that society is finally becoming a little bit more aware of the dangers of smoking and realizing that it's not cool. I had to reprogram my mind to realize to stop the bad habits that developed over the past 30, 40 years. And once I've been able to do that, I've been able to stay smoke-free.
Contrairement à ce que l'on pense, nous sommes extraordinairement souples quant à l'intériorisation de l'interdit. Et nous arrivons finalement, nous, humains, à assimiler insensiblement les interdits et à les rendre naturels.
To make us feel that these prohibitions are protecting us, we must be constantly reminded of the danger. Our fear must be kept alive. The list of diseases which can allegedly be caused by tobacco has kept on magically growing. Osteoporosis, deafness, sexual impotence, all arguments are permissible.
Also die Gesundheit setzt die Menschen in eine große emotionale Abhängigkeit. Über das Thema Gesundheit kann man ganz offenbar unheimlich viel steuern. Da geht es ums eigene Leben, da geht es um die Länge des Lebens, da geht es um die Tatkräftigkeit, die man noch in sich hat. Da geht es darum, dass man nicht durch Krankheit ausfällt. Gesundheit, da kann man unglaublich viele Ängste mobilisieren.
The sense of impending danger drives smokers towards a new kind of specialist, the expert in tobacco addiction. For henceforth, smoking isn't just the cause of disease, it is in itself a disease, which requires treatment as well as a full physiological and psychological checkup.
Le matin, au bout de combien de temps prenez-vous votre cigarette, ou au bout de combien de temps vous pensez à elle, cette cigarette?
1 heure.
1 heure.
Au moins, c'est au moment du départ. C'est au moment de partir.
C'est au moment de partir. D'accord. Trouvez-vous qu'il est difficile de vous abstenir de fumer dans les endroits où c'est interdit? Non. Mais mettons si vous êtes à un endroit assez long, mettons au cinéma, au restaurant,
non,
ou alors le train.
Non.
Mais
Non,
une fois...
en sortant, ça va être la première chose que je vais faire.
En sortant, c'est la première chose que vous allez faire. Et vous fumez plus le matin quand même? Vous avez noté que vous fumez plus le matin?
Avec les collègues, je commence à 6h le matin.
Ah oui, avec les collègues.
Je commence à 6h, donc automatiquement, oui, dès le matin.
Ouais, de 6h à midi, vous en avez fumé combien?
Ça dépend de l'ambiance qu'il y a. À peu près, j'en fume au moins 5.
5?
Ouais.
Ouais, moitié, quoi. Enfin, à peu près, quoi. Ça dépend. D'accord. D'accord, on a 3 au test de Fagustrom.
The Fagustrom Test is a multiple-choice questionnaire covering the habits and psychological failings of the smoker just as much as their tobacco consumption.
Est-ce que vous prenez des médicaments?
Are you more irritable when you don't smoke?
Est-ce que votre foie, il est toujours stable?
Do you find it hard to concentrate at work?
D'un point de vue moral, comment vous vous sentez aujourd'hui?
Are you fidgety?
Vous vous sentez plutôt tendu?
Have you even been treated for a nervous breakdown?
Vous voyez régulièrement
On a
votre
scale of 0 to 10, how would you rate your self-confidence? Tobacco dependence is now categorized in America's Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders as a behavioral disorder. Will smoking soon be considered a mental illness? The fact is that smokers are so stigmatized now that they are developing all kinds of new neuroses. Failure complex, guilt, loss of self-confidence.
Okay, switch it for you, I switch it on.
Among the various therapies and cessation aids, antidepressants such as Zyban and Chantix are now commonly being prescribed.
Okay. There are other medications to help you, like Chantix. Okay. Basically, it works like this. Remember, when you smoke cigarettes, the nicotine that are present in the cigarette, there are some centers it will hit in our brain. They're called receptor sites. Okay. So when they hit those centers, the dopamine is released, and then it makes us to feel happy. Now, when you are using the Chantix will go and block those receptor sites, those areas where you now smoke cigarettes, you no longer have the enjoyment.
Those your cigarettes? No, they were just sitting here and I got them. You don't smoke, do you? Nah. Give it up. No, me either, boy. Enough of that. That was enough. 25 big ones. Oh, boy. Finished. Got the energy now. Oh. Hey. Boy, since I quit, boy, just everything. Just focus. Zeroed in. Oh, yeah. Bang, Me too. I feel sorry for suckers. Still puffing away, No willpower. No willpower. Pacifier. Silly. The beauty of quitting is that now that I've quit, I can have one because I've quit. Just like jewelry, it's not really, I don't even inhale. You want to join me? Well, yeah, since I quit. Yeah, Yeah, now that okay. you've quit, Okay. you can have Sure, one. yeah. I can do that. Yeah. All right. Okay.
Over the last few years, the restrictions have spread ever further into those convivial places where smoking had always been particularly appreciated. Cafes, restaurants, nightclubs. In the 1970s, the idea of such a ban could only have been a hoax or a televised April Fool joke.
Ce geste, fumer une cigarette, vous ne pourrez plus le faire en toute liberté. Interdiction de fumer dans les ascenseurs d'immeubles, privés ou publics. Interdiction de fumer dans les halls de gare, dans les couloirs du métro. Interdiction de fumer dans les magasins, chez tous les commerçants, dans les cafés, aussi bien aux terrasses qu'à l'intérieur. Interdiction de fumer dans les jardins publics. Monsieur, qu'est-ce que vous pensez de cette interdiction de fumer dans les lieux publics?
C'est une atteinte directe à la liberté individuelle et je suis absolument contre.
J'ai envie de fumer, je fume. J'ai bien le droit de fumer. Dans les cafés? Oui. Et pourquoi?
Pour ne pas gêner les autres consommateurs, ceux qui n'aiment pas la fumée de cigarette.
Ceux qui sont gênés s'en vont.
Because it bothers others. An argument which would have been met with incredulity. Since then, however, a new idea has taken hold. One that's helped to deprive smokers of their rights and freedoms. Passive smoking. Smokers aren't just a danger to themselves. They're poisoning everyone around them. Despite a lack of scientific proof, smoking's enemies have made this a decisive argument.
New York State is a very urban state. There's a lot of multi-unit housing. Many people live in apartments, condominiums, and so on. And there's a lot of exposure to secondhand smoke, even in an apartment where that family does not smoke.
Recently, there's now the third-hand smoke. Yes, this happens when you are living in a home and you smoke cigarettes. As you smoke cigarette, the toxins, the carbon monoxide, the particulate matter all leave, and then they settle at the homes, in the walls, in the ceilings, on the tables. So over time, they accumulate at these surfaces. And then when the wind starts to blow, this particulate matter are released into the air. And so when you breathe this matter, this is now the third-hand smoke.
The arguments against smoking are continually being added to. Even when encrusted into our walls and furniture, it seems the poison is slyly awaiting its chance to attack us. Such thinking can only lead to psychosis.
When I stopped smoking and I went into my closet, my closet smelled like smoke.
Yeah.
My clothes.
Yeah.
I cleaned everything in there, put all coats in the cleaners. I'm in the process of painting my house because I noticed on the walls the tobacco.
Yeah.
Really, from the smoke.
Tobacco is a pollutant too, a danger to the atmospheric balance of our cities. In New York State, the most polluted in the United States, smoking is now banned in certain open-air places, such as public parks and beaches. As the no-smoking areas start to take over, a resistance movement is growing.
Who's breathing that? It's immediately gone. So the whole entire anti-smoking crusade that's built has to be disguised as protecting others from our smoke is really a crusade to end smoking, not exposure to smoke. It's to get smokers to quit smoking by making it impossible for them to light up anywhere.
When you're within close proximity to a smoker outside, you still do inhale secondhand smoke, and there are negative health effects associated with that. The second reason they're important is because of the role modeling aspect of smoking and protecting children. So smoke-free policies in playgrounds, in parks, places where children and families go for recreational purposes, it's important that those are smoke-free so that the children aren't exposed not only to the secondhand smoke, but to the smoking behaviors.
Smoking has become something inappropriate, obscene. It is now monitored by film censors in the same way as sex or violence. The European Union is even financing studies aimed at limiting cigarette smoking in films certified suitable for all audiences.
So, das ist jetzt so eine Szene. Da sieht man einen der Hauptdarsteller, Canet, mit der Zigarette in der Hand und auch mit der Verpackung.
Und was soll jetzt das Rauchen hier bedeuten? Er ist konzentriert oder ist er nervös oder was bedeutet das hier in der Situation?
Ja, also es gibt in dieser neuen WG natürlich Probleme. Es sind zwar noch keine Beziehungen da, aber mit den WG-Bewohnern an sich haben sie jetzt sozusagen Knatsch zu Hause. Und
okay, also er hat ein Problem und deshalb braucht er. Dafür wird es ja auch andere Lösungen geben. Und muss er nicht zur Zigarette greifen.
Und Bier.
Und Bier dann auch noch dazu. Okay, lassen wir es mal weiterlaufen.
Okay.
fond, nous sommes devenus des sociétés complètement puritaines sur le problème de la santé, complètement exigeantes, avec une sorte d'image assez fantasmatique de la pureté, avec cette image sur laquelle tout comportement risque de polluer finalement l'espace individuel, l'espace collectif. Ça, c'est incontestable.
And now, it's not only tobacco smoke itself that bothers us, but the very sight of it. Images of people smoking. Even figures of the past are expected to set a good example. Jacques Tati, André Malraux, and Jacques Chirac have all tried out a new way of quitting, the digital erasing of cigarettes. But what is the purpose of this new form of censorship? Whom is it intended to protect?
A kid who is heavily exposed to smoking in the movies, smokes as much, and whose parents don't smoke, smokes as much as a kid whose parents smoke. And the power of the imagery in movies is so strong that it can overcome good parental role modeling, that it can overcome education and knowledge. When you make a movie with smoking in it for kids, it's like dumping some radioactive waste in a playground. It's going to be there for a long time.
Do we need to protect our children, making them aware at such an early age of the importance of good health, which is theirs to enjoy quite naturally? With all the emphasis on prevention, education has picked up the subject, to the point where it may soon end up on the curriculum alongside spelling and mental arithmetic.
Si l'homme ne peut pas s'empêcher de fumer, peut-être peut-il empêcher ses enfants de fumer. Suzy, la voici. C'est le robot fumeur. Elle fume devant une classe à qui on va montrer tout à l'heure les poumons de Suzy la fumeuse et nous verrons les réactions des enfants devant les poumons artificiels de cette fumeuse artificielle, hélas trop réelle dans la vie.
Cigarettes have often been a kind of lieu de passage for lots of adolescents and 20-year-olds, and that cigarettes, for many of them, are kind of necessary, a way of sort of making their way into adulthood. So it begins to make you think that what matters is to find some sort of focus for American puritanical suspicion and unease around forms of what I would call adult pleasure. For me, that's a very important category, adult pleasure.
Have you got a cigarette?
Sure.
Thanks.
Whether it's alcohol or drugs or sex, all the forms of adult pleasures run risk. And that's what it means to be an adult, to be able to take pleasure in risky activity.
Ta cigarette après l'amour, je la regarde à contre-jour. Mon c'est chaque fois la même chose. Déjà tu penses à autre chose. Autre chose. Ta cigarette après l'amour, je la regarde à contre-jour.
Wie kontrolliere ich den Umgang mit Lüsten? Wie kontrolliere ich Exzesse, sodass ich einigermaßen eine Ordnung herstellen kann? Das ist seit Jahrtausenden die Schlüsselfrage in der Politik, in der Religion. Wie bringe ich die Menschen da einigermaßen unter Kontrolle?
Cette jeunesse qui s'apprête à affronter la vie
A-t-elle toujours la sobriété qui conviendrait pourtant? En sacrifiant à une mode extravagante et dangereuse, n'est-elle pas déjà trop souvent intoxiquée moralement et physiquement par l'alcool et les excès de toutes sortes?
Car, ne l'oublions jamais, l'enfant qui naîtra un jour de ses futurs parents inconscients héritera, hélas, de leur tard.
Comme il héritera de leur qualité. Et il est essentiel, pour que vive une nation prospère, que de beaux enfants naissent de parents sains et vigoureux.
Es ist im Kern ein Glaubenskrieg oder sogar ein Religionskrieg darüber, wie wir als Menschen hier auf Erden leben, wie wir mit unserem Leib umgehen, wie wir mit unserer Lust umgehen, wie wir mit unserer Sterblichkeit umgehen. Und das sind fundamentale, zentrale Fragen, die heute in der modernen Gesundheitsreligion eine Rolle spielen, aber die auch zurückreichen in die alte christliche Vorzeit.
The increasing focus on a certain idea of health, it seems to me, is serving those elements of the society which want more and more, in what I would consider to be a totalitarian fashion, to control every aspect of our existence.
Wenn biologisches Denken, gesundheitliches Denken und Volksgesundheit, was man auch nennt Public Health, wenn die zu einem Programm wird, wenn die zu einem staatlichen Programm wird, dann ist höchste Alarmstufe angesagt, weil das ist immer ein Symptom dafür, dass da eine Form von Volkserziehung stattfindet und dass ein gesundheitlich-biologischer Erziehungsgedanke im Raum steht. Und natürlich sind die Nationalsozialisten da, ich meine, ich glaube, die kann man nie vergleichen mit irgendeiner anderen Zeit, aber sie sind ein erschütterndes Beispiel für eine solche Bewegung.
Herr Führer, Mussolini und Franco, drei Männer, die für ihre Völker und für die gesamte Kulturwelt als Symbole der Willens- und Leistungskraft erscheinen, brauchen nichts. Sie haben für das Glück ihrer Nationen mehr geleistet als jene Zigarettenfirmen, die uns weismachen wollen, dass man durch den Genuss irgendwelcher Nikotingifte zu größerer Gesundheit und größerer Leistungskraft gelangt.
Nazi Germany was a real precursor in the war on tobacco. As far as Hitler was concerned, tobacco was a symbol of the decadence of the Western democracies. It stood for Jews, degenerate intellectuals, and the permissive, dubious morals of America. The Germans had to be saved from it. The people's health was the prime concern.
Okay, I'd like you now to relax, close your eyes, take a few deep, slow breaths, as if you're about to have a little doze or a little catnap.
Und der Sinnhaftigkeit auch einer Gesellschaft immer schwieriger zu beantworten ist. Und man glaubt nicht mehr an viele Dinge, also nicht unbedingt an ein jenseitiges Leben oder an eine Kirche und hat vielleicht sogar Zweifel auch an Demokratie und Kapitalismus. Es ist also, die Gesundheit ist zu einer Art moderner Religion geworden.
Par exemple, au niveau du dos, vous pouvez ressentir que ça appuie plus en haut, en bas, que vous ressentez plus votre dos.
No generation is spared our health imperatives. In retirement homes too, smoking is now totally banned.
Dès que je me levais, j'allumais une cigarette gitane. Et je finissais au bout de la journée avec 2 paquets de cigarettes de gitane. Maïs, hein?
Voilà.
Tu voyais ce que c'est?
2 paquets par jour?
Oui. Une cigarette rallumait l'autre.
Et vous n'en avez pas crevé?
Et j'en suis pour mort, voyez.
In our culture, somehow you're supposed to be rewarded for the length of time that you live, as if somehow hanging on is in itself a value. It seems to me that we could replace that notion with the idea that it's the quality of life that you've lived rather than its duration.
Und dahinter steckt letztendlich bei aller Sorge immer fürs Leben und fürs gesunde Leben natürlich auch eine große Lebensfeindlichkeit. Weil wenn ich ständig über die Risiken des Lebens nachdenke, dann bin ich im Grunde natürlich in einer ständigen Lebensangst und Lebenssorge und vergesse im Zweifel zu leben.
It's never too late to quit smoking, to atone for an entire life as a smoker. You'll die anyway, but at least you'll do so in good health.
Guess who's knocking at your door?